Good afternoon, folks. Good morning, good evening, wheresoever you are on planet listening to Focus on Liberia. I am the West African correspondent, Edward Amara, coming to you with the latest development on the continent, giving you updates. Focus on Africa uses this platform to inform our valuable listeners on the current events that are happening on the continent. We feel proud, we feel elated, we feel moved, we feel touched for the numerous comments and appreciations we get from our viewers. Welcome to this all important forum. We educate, we inform, and we entertain you on everything Africa. This is a program that purely gives you the event that happens on the continent, things that we as Africans should know, things that we should be mindful of, and things that actually can progress our confidence, our continent from one stage to another. So you are highly welcome. You should be appreciated in everything that you do. We really need to know your various type of contributions, and your various type of contribution will definitely add flavor to our daily broadcast. Today we go into the Horn of Africa, that is Ethiopia. We go into the Horn of Africa, and we also, I think we have some countries in the Horn of Africa. Then we'll go into the southern part of Africa. Then finally we have a brief communication on the rest part of Africa. First, we need to watch at mass arrests after Ethiopia politicians shot dead. Then Nigerians are stranded in South Sudan. Northern Sudan. Nigerians are stranded in Northern Sudan. Then we also have another story on the coalition that is being formed in South Africa to oust the ruling ANC party, the African National Congress. Then finally, Africa joins the rest of the world. Africa joins the rest of the world in celebrating the World Labor Day. It is justifiable. What are the necessities in celebrating the World Labor Day? Does Africa or workers in Africa have the moral obligation to join the rest of the world in celebrating World Labor Day? Is labor actually a reflection on the continent? So let's watch and see. Listen carefully. Your contributions are highly needed. First, mass arrest in Ethiopia after a politician was shot dead in Amara state or Amara region. We all know Ethiopia maybe is one of the celebrated countries on the continent. Ethiopia led Africa on several occasions. It was in Ethiopia that the OAU, Organization of African Unity, was formed. There we have its headquarters. And Ethiopia was also seen as one of the countries on the continent that successfully defeated a European nation like Italy. It made Italy to crumble on no field. Some philosophers, historians, and political commentators believe that Ethiopia was never officially conquered. Some also believe that Ethiopia was conquered and it was also reconquered. We have seen a lot of other maybe African political leaders like who we are actually on the hem of affairs of Ethiopia, but they became dictators. And we also know that Ethiopia is also a country that believes in the Rastafarianism, like the great Haile Selassie. They have their own religion. And Ethiopia is one of the countries which chooses maybe to celebrate its Christmas on a very peculiar day. So Ethiopia is known of a lot of this. Some people even tell you that the origin of man, if you talk about the proconsul Homo erectus, Homo habilis, Homo habilis, then Homo sapien and Homo sapiens sapien, when you are dealing about the history of the origin of man, they tell you that the first man was actually found on the soil of Ethiopia. So Ethiopia is actually known for maybe gorgeous things on the continent. However, that does not tell us that Ethiopia have not been involved in certain imperial things. And those wicked things have actually exposed the continent. And I think maybe if anybody tells you, maybe somebody say, okay, Emperor Menelik was actually the modern day, or is the modern day father of Ethiopia. He actually modernized Ethiopia. So all of these things are there, and I've seen Ethiopia playing key role in the continent, especially in the Horn of Africa. But of late, Ethiopia have been developed or have developed itself into political crisis. Kudos to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed when he took over power. He actually managed to foster peace between the Ethiopians or Ethiopia and Eritrea. Prior to his ascension of office, definitely it was over 20 years that Ethiopia never had even a phone communication with neighboring Eritrea. Of course, they fought bitter war in the early 1990s. Over 200,000 people were definitely killed. So those bitter experiences we have been fed. We are seeing as higher inequality in Amara, that is the capital city of Eritrea, where we are seeing human rights, maybe it's definitely human rights violations are on the peak over there, and journalism is never encouraged. Those who speak against the government are detained, tortured. Some of them actually can be easily captured without nobody knowing where or how they were being captured. Now, Ethiopia fought a bitter war. Since 2019, we started seeing war between the Amara region, Tigray, Afar region, those of them. But the war was actually between the Tigrayan region, that is the Tigray Liberation Forces, and the Ethiopian Federal Forces, led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Prior to this time, the Tigray people play critical role or crucial role in the history of Ethiopia, like the like of Haile Selassie whatsoever. In fact, it's one of the vast regions in Ethiopia, but not compared to other regions. However, I enjoy wealth of power, and it was almost always be seen at the corridor of Ethiopian power, decision makers, it influenced. So when Abiy Ahmed took over power, coming from the Amhara region, people thought that this man is an Arumu. So then he was given absolute power. He has all the opportunity. And the Tigrayan people felt that they are being discriminated. So what they decided is they seek for cessation. So after the conduction of the referendum in 2019, I think according to them, they voted massively for them to seek cessation or for them to be granted independence. Abiy Ahmed ranked their move as an attempted coup d'etat, sacked their government, and sent the federal forces against the Tigrayan forces. It resulted into bitter war. People were being killed, raped, and Mekelle, the capital city of Tigray, was seen as a bloodbath region. Out of a lot of negotiation, the like Olusegun Manti, Obasanjo, and others went to negotiate. It wasn't successful. America, United States, the Great Britain, you talk about France, all involved into the negotiation. Finally, peace was being granted, and the government of Abiy Ahmed granted what they call amnesty to all those who are involved into the bitter war, and they asked them to disarm and be enlisted into the Ethiopian National Army for them to do away with regional forces. On that move, there was bitter war also between the Afar region, the Amhara region, and with the Tigray region. Tigray was being suppressed even by Eritrea, widely accused, and according to humanitarian agents, international observers, and even accusation from the United States, France, US, and others, they confirmed that Isaias Afwerki, the president of Eritrea, was actually backing the Ethiopian government against the war in Tigray. So finally, they came to one accord, and the war have definitely been declared over. And there is now a move for disarmament and demobilization, and also re-enlistment into the military so that they can have what they call a federal forces or a federal force, where they may be seeing the entire security of Ethiopia. but the people in the Afar region, Amara, and Tigray region will also be allowed to join the army. However, the Amhara region and Tigray region are seen as bitter enemies. Even into the war, they were so prominent, fighting against each other. Children, women, and other people were being abused by their respective forces. When the Ethiopian government announced that let there be total disarmament and also demobilization and re-enlistment into the army, the Amhara region accused the Ethiopian government of having what they call to be biased, and they think that whatsoever thing that the Ethiopian government may intend to do is to successfully disarm them and empower maybe all the Tigray region may not be so honest in disarming themselves so that they can use it against them to attack the Amhara region whenever the opportunity arises. And there is a popular claim that part of the Tigrayan region has actually been encroached and conquered by the Amhara forces, which is a fertile region where they grow crops, or is an agrarian society. So such move of disarming them may make them vulnerable against the Tigrayan forces. So they refuse to disarm and they set up popular demonstration against them. So, and in the vein of that, they have been actually mulling attempted coup to kill government officers in Addis Ababa and also in Amhara region. So finally, on Sunday, some government officers were shot dead by people known and unknown. 11 of them have been arrested, including journalists. They have been accused of committing an act of terrorism. The government is definitely mounting manhunt. I don't want to call it manhunt. So that all those who are involved into the act to be comprehensively arrested and prosecuted. But the international observers and other regional forces are fearing that this may also result into another bitter war, where the Amhara people will stand against the federal forces because of forceful, maybe disarmament that have resulted into a chaotic or pandemonious situation. Then their own government officers that are enforcing this transformation of the military into another new thing have actually been targeted, and some of them have been killed. Africa need to be very careful. We have all stories coming along the day, and Ethiopia was seen as a kind of maybe peacemaker on the continent. Today, it is one of the most volatile regions. Let's go to Nigeria. Nigerians stranded in Northern Sudan. It is unfortunate, quite amazing, very disturbing, and absolutely pathetic that our African brothers and sisters are already stranded into Sudan, Northern Sudan. Yesterday, about 1,519 we are actually taken along the border with Egypt. However, the Egyptians refused to open their borders on ground that proper arrangements were not being made or they were not meted out. They fear giving the Nigerians way to land into Egypt, Cairo, where they will be uplifted to Nigeria. And also, there are popular claims that over 2,000 unregistered Nigerians are actually within those cities. And some actually are also registered, but they are within tough regions or part of the cities where the war is seriously taking place. Should they decide to go and or maybe to join the other evacuees, there's a possibility that they could easily be targeted and killed. And people are killing into Khartoum indiscriminately. Neither the paramilitary forces known as the Rapid Support Forces or the armed forces of Sudan, Northern Sudan. It's also not a guaranteed thing. Reason being, known and unknown have actually disturbed or been disturbing the peace process. Both have actually accused them. Both have been, we really want to see a kind of peaceful transformation in those regions. Africa today is no longer a peaceful region. After everything that happened with the Northern Sudanese, we have seen another bitter war still being fought on the continent. Two selfish, unscrupulous leaders have decided to throw the country into a total chaotic situation. The world powers, instead of them coming together on the round table to ensure that this issue is being solved, they are taking sides. That is leading to political destabilization, the loss of youth, the loss of our economy, and the destruction of the country, which will not yield any benefit to everybody. And the paramilitary forces are saying they need to be recognized. According to popular assertion, especially by Abdoulaye Hamdok, the former prime minister of Sudan, he's definitely claiming that Sudan is about to experience its worst history in life because those guys are so ambitious, they are so conscious, and they are so determined to lead the country. Because of their selfish, unscrupulous mentality and interest, they can do anything to ensure that Sudan is being totally destabilized. War crime suspects have escaped from prison. Nobody knows the exact whereabouts of al-Bashir, who is an accused war crime and a detainee by the military government. Accusations have been made that they may actually intend to even grant him freedom. And who knows, this might be a subversive move for him to be installed back into power. Africa need to be very careful, and the Ethiopian crisis is growing from bad to worse. Only those who have the capital are escaping from one country to another. We go to South Africa, in the southern part of Africa, a coalition. The Economic Freedom Party has actually formed a coalition with the notion of ousting the ruling ANC party come their next general election. But is that a productive move? The like of Julius Malema, maybe he is a veteran, a patriotic person, but his mentality are rough. His xenophobic mentality may not be encouraged for this type of society that South Africa is running. We all know South Africa is prolific with small arms and ammunition. Xenophobic mentality is very on its height. His speech, president should not be entertained. When you watch at Julius Malema, he is very good, eloquent. Maybe some people think that he's a force to reconcile with. But his political rebellious act may not be suitable to lead a South African society where xenophobic mentality, apartheid mentality are definitely the order of the day. So South Africans should be very careful. But the ruling ANC also is losing its popularity, it is losing its value, it is also losing its respect because of a scrupulous, corrupt politician at the like of Jacob Zuma. He even wanted his wife to take over his powers after he might have left power. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who once served as the AU chairperson. But however, she wasn't entertained. She was defeated by the charismatic and eloquent Cyril Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa have also been severally accused of leading the killing of a man in his garden who knows that he was involved into money laundering. He used his workers against him to kill him. He has denied the court discharged him. And according to popular accusation, Ramaphosa is also supporting his own win against the Jacob Zuma-led win, which is definitely continuing to create chaotic situation into the country. Like of the regions like KwaZulu-Natal of late have tasted series of political demonstration, either in support of Jacob Zuma or because of selfish and scrupulous interest. One thing about South Africa, each time there is a popular political demonstration, it is the civilians or foreigners that suffer because they tend to attack them. Finally, Africa joined the rest of the world in celebrating World Labor Day. Very interesting. But do we deserve to celebrate World Labor Day? What do we even need to celebrate? In fact, even those on government paid road, some of them are even complaining that up to now they haven't been paid. The services are absolutely insulting. They are embarrassment, calculated insult. When you see the salary towards what people who earn their daily wages are doing, the dispensation of their duties are not commensurable. Civil service is not being respected into Africa. Politicians are being handsomely paid at the detriment of teachers, at the detriment of nurses, and all other public civil servants. Where politicians earn money in whoop amounts, but people who actually deliver their services earn little than what they can even put on the table. So today, Africa is celebrating the World Labor Day, which actually came into effect in 1889 in the United States. So we are asking for teachers to be respected, nurses to be respected, civil servants to be paid, even if they are not given colossal amount like our members of parliament or like other politicians. However, their services should be respected by giving an amount that might be able to cover up their expenses. Thinking about how skyrocketing produces are on the continent, or our basic necessity of domestic feeding or materials that we need for our upkeeping on the continent, paying them low salary will definitely not help. After the attack of COVID-19, skies or prices of goods and services are just skyrocketing. But none of the salaries have been touched. No improvement has been made. There are some governments that have not been even able to meet the daily wages of their civil servants, that are paying their salaries. Liberia experienced that one on a hard and so popular demonstration. Do we need to celebrate the World Labor Day? In distress, in unemployment, the situation is so bad, and we need to think. I think our government need to respect their social contract and make massive improvement into their service dispensation so that quality and productive services could be achieved on the continent. Thank you. It's been me, Edward Amara, Focus on Liberia, West African correspondent, coming to you with the latest news on the continent. Now, the major news headlines was mass arrest in Ethiopia after politicians shot dead. We also have Nigerians are stranded in northern Sudan. Then coalition formed in South Africa to oust the ruling ANC. Then finally, Africans joined the rest of the world in celebrating the World Labor Day. If actually our laborers were being paid handsomely, I believe the street of Africa would have been filled with all sorts of devils celebrating what we achieve. But you cannot even go and celebrate a World Labor Day when you are being underpaid. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.